Another gorgeous day, another ceramic coating. What are we working on today? Well, let's take a look.
In typical ADHD fashion, this footage got lost on my phone, but I didn't want to not share it because I feel like it addresses a lot of questions that I still see my customers struggling with. They often wonder, what is a ceramic coating? How long do they really last? And how do I maintain it properly? But the biggest question is, how does a ceramic coating at your shop differ from a dealership coating? Well, today, we're going to answer all of those questions in this video.
Our paint is in pristine condition. I mean, it's a 2024. The biggest issue we have right now is all of this dang pollen. It is so freaking thick. You could wash a vehicle and 10 minutes later, it's just covered in pollen. So we'll do a good foaming pre-soak before we do our contact wash. That will just help remove the pollen, because I really don't want to have to do a ton of polish work on this vehicle. The paint is in really great condition. Pollen, if you were to look at it under a microscope, it's very sharp. It's very it looks like COVID-19, I'll be honest with you guys. It looks like a monster under a microscope. And you never want to just take kind of a dry rag or even just assume water alone will remove pollen, because it's sticky. It will stick to the paint. So that's why, especially heavy pollen season, I always will use kind of a foaming pre-soak and then a high lubricating soap, because as stuff is airborne, even after you rinse it off, it's going to land back on that. So heavy pollen season, I definitely recommend good soaps to remove the pollen, and then high lubricating soaps for safe washes. If you're drying a vehicle, even use a drying aid just to give you extra lubrication, because this stuff, I mean, I could walk through the grass and you could just see a cloud of pollen just flying up in the air. I cannot stand it. So what we're going to actually do, a quick vacuum on this interior, get everything washed, pull it in the garage, and then we're going to actually close the garage door up, so that way we try to minimize how much pollen is airborne. We're going to do a very quick paint enhancement on the paint, but really this is going to be a very quick detail. I'm hoping to be done with it by like 5 hours. So for those of you that have new vehicles and you're looking to get protection put on your vehicle, I'll share with you guys what this process looks like, but we need to first get all this dang pollen off of the vehicle. Beep poop.
I bet you didn't know that. The longer the vehicle sits here, the more pollen covered it's becoming. So we're going to try to work as quickly as possible. We're going to do a quick touchless cleaning of our door jambs with Superior Products Dark Fury at a 1:5 dilution ratio. Once the door jambs and gas cap and trunk are cleaned out, then we're going to quickly clean our tires and wheels. Again, new vehicle, not too bad, so we don't need anything super aggressive. So we're using Griot's Garage Wheel Cleaner and Vonix Delete just to get our tires and wheels squeaky clean. We're going to use the barrel blade to clean these narrow wheel barrels, and then a finger mitt just to get behind all of those surfaces a little bit easier and very quickly able to dial in our tires and wheels. Now, because most of the contaminants on the paint from our pollen and even our road film are slightly acidic, we're going to use alkaline degreaser from Purist, foam that on, and this is going to soften and loosen any of the dirt and pollen on the surface. Now, do you always have to do a foaming pre-soak? Not necessarily. If we don't have a ton of dirt, normally you can just do a high pressure rinse and a good old contact wash. But because we do have some protection on this paint, my foaming pre-soak maybe is going to weaken some of the protection. And also it's just going to make my contact wash that much safer, because even though I do need to decontaminate this paint to get it ready for a ceramic coating, the paint is actually in really great condition. So I'm trying to minimize any marring or scratches that could be induced during the prep process. Doing a clay tile process sometimes can induce marring, and many detailers believe that every time you clay tile, you have to polish the vehicle. But I want to actually see, can we decontaminate this vehicle, prep it properly for a ceramic coating, but not necessarily do a lot of damage where we have to polish, aka remove paint, to get it ready.
Of course it's starting to rain, right when I need to do a chemical decon.
Now, for those of you that are new to ceramic coatings, here's some hard facts. The biggest thing that's going to make or break a ceramic coating lasting is, number one, going to be how it's prepped, and number two, how it's maintained. I've done a ton of videos on showing you guys how to properly maintain a ceramic coating and get the most out of it. But when it comes to prep, the biggest difference between a dealership and a detailer like me oftentimes is going to be that they are not doing proper prep. That normally is going to include a wash, a decontamination with a clay towel, as well as an iron remover to remove any sort of rail dust or bonded contaminants that didn't come off during the wash process. And then after washing and decontaminating it, making sure everything is dry, and then inspecting the paint to make sure there's no protection on it. And if there are scratches, based on the customer's budget as well as what they're looking for, polish the vehicle. Now, you don't necessarily need to polish to apply a ceramic coating, but we are locking in the condition of the paint. And even on a brand new vehicle sitting at the dealership, they can pick up some love marks from dusters or people bumping up against them. And sometimes they actually use an automatic car wash to maintain the vehicles on the lot. So we want to make sure that the paint is in good condition. Fortunately for us, and this is rare, guys, but after doing our wash, chemical decon, and clay towel treatment, our paint is actually in really great condition. And that's because I took a lot of effort to make sure that we were using high lubricating soaps, proper foaming pre-soaks to make sure that the gritty pollen didn't scratch our paint, and also using a clay towel that's not super aggressive, not rubbing aggressively. And all of these steps combined, we got lucky.
This rarely happens, but sometimes when you have new cars, this is the case. The paint is pristine. Some Subarus, the paint is so soft that they can scratch pretty easily, but even doing a clay towel treatment, we don't have marring. There's maybe very, very, very fine scratches just in certain areas of the vehicle. So I think what we're just going to do more than anything is just a finishing polish to remove the protection. I don't really need to. I could at this point just put the coating on because the paint is in such good condition, but there was protection still on the paint after we did our wash and our decontamination. But for those of you that say a clay towel is going to scratch the crap out of the paint, it doesn't always happen, especially if you're using the right soaps, right lubrication, you're not scrubbing aggressively. There was barely any contaminants on the paint, maybe just a little bit of tar, a little bit on our lower panels, but it's thorough prep. And for a new vehicle, we were able to maintain or preserve the condition of the clear coat. So now more than anything, I just need to do like 2 quick passes to remove whatever protection is on, so that way the coating can bond on the paint. But we're probably gonna do just a white foam pad, Phoenix COD, their fabulous finishing polish. It works really well, nice gloss and shine, no dusting. I don't wanna have any issues with dusting. So I think we're gonna be able to polish this vehicle in probably 45 minutes or so. And then we'll do Payless panel prep wipe, remove all of our polishing oils, and then we'll go ahead and apply our Ethos Graphene Coating version 2. It's gonna be an easy day.
Now, to make my day a little bit easier, we're going to utilize the McKee's 37 Carolina detailing carts. We're going to put my pad washer in one cart, as well as a scoop of our pad rejuvenator from McKee's 37. This is going to ensure that my pads stay clean and stay cool. And the other cart, we're going to put some rinseless wash. This isn't necessarily to wash the vehicle again, but it will help us to safely remove any polish residue, because sometimes polish residue can be so difficult to remove or so grabby, streaky, that you end up actually scratching the paint after you've just polished it by simply removing the polish residue. I find by using a dampened towel with rinseless wash, you can safely remove your polish residue, and then we'll use a panel prep wipe still at the end to make sure we have a squeaky clean surface. Now, because our paint is in such good condition, I really don't need to be aggressive. More than anything, I just need to remove the protection, and that can be achieved with 1 or 2 very quick passes with a finishing polish. Now, using a rinseless wash is actually how I can tell that this has been sufficient to remove our protection, because when you wipe off your residue with the rinseless wash, you'll actually see a difference in the panel from your polished side to your non-polished side. Now, we're actually making really great time with this. It took about an hour for us to do our wash and decontamination, maybe 15 minutes to dry it properly, and then another hour for us to do our paint enhancement and panel prep wipe. Then it's going to take about an hour for us to apply our coating, and then we have our cure time, which is anywhere from 4 to 6 hours. So all in all, one day we can get this entire process done on a new vehicle. So I don't know how dealerships are getting this done in a half an hour. This is actually pretty quick.
It took me about 45 minutes and we were able to do our paint enhancement. We wiped off all the polish residue at the very end with our rinseless wash, Hydra. And then we went around with our panel prep wipe. I still want to do panel prep wipe even though I used a rinseless wash, because that's not going to remove any sort of polishing oils. Plus, sometimes you can have just a little bit of residue left behind. So just to make sure that we have a squeaky clean surface, and we do, we went ahead and did our panel prep wipe. Really enjoying Peleus. Actually switched up to the McKee's, their orange waffle pad. And was able to use one pad for this entire vehicle. Washed it, every single panel, with the pad rejuvenator, and my pad was clean, cool, and I was able to work very quickly. Also using a battery powered polisher. This is the SPTA 15mm polisher. You can see it's got a lot of residue because when I do my pad washer, it gets dirty, but it has held up really well. Comes with 2 batteries. This was just the first battery. But when I'm doing paint enhancements, I like to use a polisher like that. I don't need anything super powerful. What I'm looking for is to be quick, and having no cords allows me to be a lot quicker. But we also have our second bucket here with a rinseless wash so that I could wipe everything off. I can have my inspection light to go around, make sure everything looks good. We inspected it, it looks perfect. So for those of you that maybe you're wanting to get into polishing a little bit more, maybe you're wanting to become more efficient, having tools like this will definitely help speed up the process. I've used this system the last couple of details, and honestly, it has made polishing so much faster because I have everything with me on wheels. I can just kind of pull it around the vehicle. I'm not having to bend over as much, so it's easier on my 40-year-old body. But now we're gonna go ahead and apply our coating. We're prepped, ready to go. Let's go ahead and get this coating on now. I will say this, I've done a couple of videos on this coating, so we're not gonna go into too much detail, but I've actually been loving this coating. I've been reaching out to Ethos. Tim Coates, their owner, and I found out that they do actually have kind of a detailer's wholesale where they can give you a percentage off if you sign up. So we're definitely going to be doing that because I've really been enjoying this. I'm actually still using the first bottle that I opened. I've coated 2 sedans with 1 bottle. We'll probably open up our second bottle in this one, but I've got about maybe 1/4 of the bottle left. So we're going to see how far that goes. But this is one of the easier coatings that I have worked with in a long time. I think this customer is going to be really happy. We'll be maintaining it with the DIY Detail, their rinseless wash, maybe even their ceramic gloss. So we've already talked to him about how to maintain it moving forward, but hopefully we'll be able to see this vehicle back and share with you guys updates for those of you that want to see more out of the Ethos Graphene version 2 coating.
So how does a ceramic coating like this differ from a dealership ceramic coating? Well, beyond the prep process being more thorough, in my experience, most dealerships are only going to offer a spray and rinse type ceramic sealant. These types of products are not known for being very chemically resistant or lasting very long. So the biggest difference is that detailers like me are applying a much superior product that actually bonds with the clear coat of your vehicle. In fact, the only way to remove it is to polish it off. These coatings are more chemically resistant, more durable, and will last several years versus months. While dealerships can offer warranties, normally customers don't end up actually using those warranties or benefiting from them. In my experience, every customer I've had that has purchased a dealership coating has regretted it and wished they had gotten something like this instead to protect their vehicles with.
Definitely hazy, getting more hazy, not as hazy. Come on, it's so freaking easy. I'm gonna let that sit a little longer because we're at 340. So we're gonna let that sit just a smidge longer. Get it closer to kind of that 3-4 minute, because it took about a minute for us to apply. So give it 2.5 minutes that it's been on there. If it's too easy, let it sit. If it's too grabby, take off earlier.
Level using 2 low GSM but high quality microfibers, and then I always use a third towel just at the very end that's a little bit more plush, maybe a higher GSM as a final touch, just to make sure I don't have any residue left behind, to make sure I have no high spots. Now when we are done applying this ceramic coating, we're going to let it cure for 4 to 6 hours before we even release it to the customer, so that way should it be raining, which it might be, we don't have any issues with the coating.
One of the other things that the customer had requested was that we apply a glass coating. Since I'm not a fan of applying normal coatings to glass because they can create wiper judder or streaks, I use dedicated glass coatings like this. This is Stoner's Invisible Glass Ceramic Coating, and one of the easiest I have found to apply. Truly does give you streak-free results. It may not last up to a full 12 months like they claim. I find it normally lasts anywhere from 6 to 9 months. But when something's this cheap and this easy to apply, I don't care if I have to apply it twice a year. Once our glass was coated, we're gonna finish up all of the rest of our paint and just work section by section, working in about a 3x3 to 4x4 section. Because this has such a long flash time, we were actually able to ceramic coat an entire side at once before we had to come in and level. This just lets you work quickly and efficiently, and you don't have to constantly start and stop picking up your microfibers. So I set a 4.5 minute timer, and I still have 35 seconds. Everything is hazy, but I was able to coat this entire side in under 5 minutes. It's still amazing to work with. I swear to goodness, I love this coating. I didn't think it was possible to love a coating. I love my kids. I love my husband. I love God. I'm not gonna put this up there with like those loves, but out of detailing products, I love this coating. The more I work with this coating, the more I'm learning how to use it wisely. And the longer you let it sit, the less transfer solution that you have to remove, which means easier wipe off, less risk of high spots. So I'm not saying go 10 minutes, 5 minutes in a temperature controlled environment. It's more than enough to give it time to set up. But most coatings, if I were to let them sit this long, would be a nightmare. It just works so well. They do have their easy glass coating for glass, which I haven't tested yet, but I hope to do it soon. I've just been enjoying the Stoner one so much, and I have it open, so we're just gonna use up what we have before we kind of switch over to another, because I don't want 2 open bottles. I don't get a ton of glass coating requests, but once we get to that, but it actually did pretty well on our sunroof glass. I do find it can streak ever so slightly, so that's why sometimes it's better to use a dedicated glass coating versus a coating on glass. Our invisible glass, it's like streak-free. It is the most stupid, easy glass coating to work with. But even if I'm talking and letting it sit on there longer, it's so good. You don't have to be certified. You don't have to go to training to learn all the nuances. You just watch my videos. Consider yourself trained so I don't screw myself. Swear to goodness. We flew by fast. That was like, what, 7 minutes for an entire side? I can coat an entire vehicle in 35 minutes. So not only does a little go a long way, I got 2.5 cars out of 1 bottle. You can coat faster, work longer, which helps you work faster. And it's about an hour minimum before it can get wet. And I'm not saying like don't pouring down rain, but if you want to test the hydrophobics, hour. But realistically, like 6 hours would be that safe window, and you can send it. So it has all the markings of a winner for me. For someone who does this for a living, I want something that's easy to work with, that I can produce and get out the door for the customer faster. I was able to wash, decontaminate, polish, and coat this in under 4 hours. So that's fantastic. And we even did a quick courtesy vacuum and ate lunch. So for me as a detailer, I can charge $900, $1,000. You can calculate the cost of the coating, but one bottle you get 2.5 vehicles. If you have a truck, obviously that's gonna change that, but you could definitely get 2 vehicles, even if they're larger, out of one bottle. So there's a great return on your investment. Days that I'm working with grabby coatings, I don't really like my job. Days that I'm working with coatings like this, I get to go have supper with my family. I can take time editing videos and not feel rushed. For me, that is worth a little bit of extra money, but really it's not that much.
I was super happy with how this coating turned out. I wasn't super happy when I opened the garage door to find out it had rained. That did actually help knock down some of the pollen, but we let it sit for 6 hours before the customer came to pick it up. And when he came to pick it up, he was so excited with the end result. He said it looked better than new. Now let's fast forward to 1 year later. Coincidentally, it was raining when the customer dropped his vehicle off for me to do a ceramic coating maintenance wash. So we're gonna get to share with you guys how our hydrophobics look like 1 year later. I've been applying ceramic coatings for over 7 years, and no matter how many videos I make, I always get customers that have questions about what is a ceramic coating? What is it designed to do? Well, by nature, they're gonna help make maintenance easier. They do that because they make the surface of your paint more slick and extremely hydrophobic. When you have a combination of those two things, if you have dirt, pollen, etc. on your vehicle, it can come off with less effort. So not only will it make it easier to wash, but it will actually help preserve the integrity of your clear coat because you're not having to use as much effort to remove dirt. Sometimes it can come off with just a standard hose like this. You don't even need to necessarily use a pressure washer or a foam cannon, although they can add an extra layer of safety to make the wash process safer. One of my favorite things about ceramic coatings is because they are so hydrophobic, if you flood the panel like this, you can actually dry a panel with water. The trunk is always the area that gets hit with the most amount of dirt. And that looks fan-freaking-tastic. I'm pretty sure the customer has been doing a great job at maintaining it. And Bruce, keep up the good work. He said he's been washing it every 1 to 2 months by hand with incredible suds and applying ceramic gloss as a topper. Now, whether that's the topper or the coating performing that we're seeing, I'm not so concerned about. More than anything, I want to make sure we have no mineral deposits clogging the performance of the coating. So for that, we're going to declog it using an acid-based soap from Detail Co. that's going to help refresh our coating. And we see that by that pooling of water. That's what you want to see? You want to see that whoop? Yes, and it has a sound effect. Coatings by nature are way more chemically resistant than waxes or sealants, so using an acid-based soap like this shouldn't damage the coating. In fact, it might breathe new life into it. So after we're done doing a super relaxing contact wash, we're also going to do an iron remover treatment, work that in with our wash mitt, give everything one final good rinse, and then get it dry. For those of you who have wondered, what is a ceramic coating and how does a ceramic coating at a dealership differ from going to a professional detailer? Hopefully this video has answered some questions. And hopefully we've been able to demonstrate for you guys what you can expect from a ceramic coating when you properly maintain it and how to get the most out of the ceramic coating. But the biggest thing about ceramic coatings is that they just make washing your vehicle fun. I mean, look at that. If you guys have enjoyed this video, make sure you give us a thumbs up. For any of you who want to try out any of these products or ceramic coatings, we're going to put an affiliate link to all of these products in the video description box down below. And feel free to share this video with any customers who maybe have this question of dealership versus detailer, which is better? Oftentimes, your ceramic coating performing is going to come down to proper prep and proper maintenance. And when you're investing this much money into a product, you want to get the most out of it. So hopefully this has given you some confidence in knowing which route to go and how to get the most out of it. But we're not quite done with this detail. Because we have such amazing hydrophobics, we're going to use a leaf blower to actually blow a majority of the water off of the vehicle. Then, to finish drying, we're going to use Ethos Ceramic Refresh version 2.0 as a drying aid. Not only is this going to be a little bit safer to dry the vehicle, just in case there's any dust or pollen that might blow back on it, but it's also going to refresh our hydrophobics and increase the slickness, which again is just going to make maintenance that much easier. But there you have it. We're all done with our ceramic coating, sharing with you guys a 1-year update and also how to maintain it. Make sure you guys stay tuned. We'll see you in the next detail.